What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Dent Digest Live Show. We've got a unique one here. We have my good friend Maria from A1 Tools. How are you?
I am great, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
All right.
Doing okay.
Right. Yeah.
So I wanted to get this show in here. We talked about it a month ago, or Manny kind of brought it up, and I thought it was a great idea. And I said to a lot of guys, this is not a typical Dent Digest show, but it's the beginning of the year, and we all want to kind of start on that fresh foot, good attitude, positive, thoughts. And with the crazy things that are happening in the world right now, everybody could use this. And that's why I thought it was super important to really get it in here and get it started first thing in the year. So, how was your holiday? Let's start with that.
Well, okay. First of all, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. When you thought of positive, you thought of me. I really appreciate that. And so, yeah. Hey, Jesse. Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. So, yeah, my holidays were rough, Ryan, because I lost my father October 23rd. And so I'm like, okay, we got to do this Thanksgiving and we got to do Christmas. My dad's birthday's the 28th. We got New Year's Eve. We always celebrate New Year's Eve together. I'm like, okay. So I kind of geared up for it, knowing it was going to be hard. And we just kind of rolled through it, did what we could, try to stay grateful over Thanksgiving. Hey, everybody. And we then moved on to Christmas. And I'm like, hey, guys, we know how Thanksgiving went. Let's just prepare. Let's prepare for Christmas. We know kind of what to expect. And really, it went okay. We had good moments and we celebrated, we did the best we could. So, but not gonna lie, there were some rough moments.
Oh, I'm sure.
Absolutely. But
it's kind of it's different for everybody. I mean, it was nobody's been through this here that I know of. You know what I mean? So everybody's trying to figure it out and what's right and what's wrong and
new stuff. Yeah, lots of new stuff to deal with, right? That's right.
It's
yeah.
But we're figuring it out. You know what I mean? We're all figuring out everything that's going on, schools with kids and deaths and families, and so I can say one thing, it's crazy things going on right now, but I really feel like people are adapting.
I was just going to say that we are becoming a people who are learning to be flexible right now, right? Because aren't we all having to be flexible in our homes, in our schools, in our churches, in our community?
Yep.
We're having to learn to be flexible. And so it's not all bad.
No. And I'll be honest with you, some of the changes I actually don't mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
what are some of the changes that you've not been too upset about?
To be honest with you, I've spent more time at home this year than I have in years. And just the other night we were talking and I said, I'm sorry, I didn't get your call. I was doing Legos with my kid. It was like 7 o'clock at night,
I was like, Ryan, that is the most important thing you can do. There's nothing more important than playing Legos with your kid right now, because, that is so meaningful,
Yeah. I've been home more, which has been great. But also, I'll tell you, I'm not a dirty person, but my hands have never been so clean in my whole life.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
How about you?
Yeah. Well, I've got to tell you, when we first buckled down in March, I've got 3 daughters, and they're right now they're 13, 14, and 15 years old. So we did a lot of cooking. We did a lot of crafting. We did a lot of, and my family, we own some land. And so we are outside all the time. And so for us, it's not like we're trapped in our home, you know. So we've done a lot of outdoor things, and that's been really nice. And so another thing that's happened, my daughter, my 15-year-old, she's commented several times, I could not be doing this if I were in school. You know, like today we had lunch together with my mom, and because right now it's all of our schools are Monday, Tuesday, and then a second group of students Thursday, Friday. They clean the school on Wednesday. So she's got this time. We've, like one day we went for a big walk and we had a picnic outside. We camped, we climbed hay bales. The girls made me try to jump up on top of them. I mean, I just, it was not pretty. But anyway, we've done a lot of stuff like that. So it's not been all bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like my good friend Edmund here. He says
Yeah.
it's God's way of hitting his reset button for humanity. And he's so true. That guy he's pretty much my brother, but he has been through hell and high water in life and has some of the most meaningful sayings like that. And I'm like, he's so right. You know what I mean? He's very right in what is going on. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, for me, he'll direct that to me because he knows that I'm a go, 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 go. I'm a nonstop. And he was like, you needed this. And I'm like, come on.
Well, we've had to connect with our families. We've had to make changes, and it is a good way to reset things, just, God, he's got a purpose for everything, and there's stuff going on right now as a result of this, so anyway, yeah, Edmund. So I got to get to know this guy.
You should, because he is,
okay.
He's a really good person. So, but anyway, let's get into this show, dive into it deep. And one of the reasons, and I'm sure everyone in our industry, was it last month you started? It was every day you were doing a positive or a saying that stuck with me personally every day, because I would read it and I'd be like, okay. You know what I mean? So how, and I'm going to ask you, because I'm not always the most positive person, but you have had a terrible year. You've been through a lot in the last year. How do you stay so positive? I'm going to start with that. How do you wake up every day, get dressed, go through your things, and you're like, I'm doing this. And you do a really, really good job.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. Really, I haven't always been a positive person. I would have told you I was positive, but really I was a positive person till something didn't go my way. And
did we lose you? I think she's gone. She's gone. Guess she's going to come back in. So, like I was saying, hopefully she'll pop back in here in 1 minute. Let's see what happens. So, I hope you guys are having a fantastic week and making some money. I know it's wintertime. A lot of us kind of slow down a little bit in the winter and try to regroup. It's usually January and February is my time to regroup, re-strategize for the week, for the year, and get my game plan and my bearings. So hope you guys are taking that same step. And you guys also know, that this is our year to figure it out. You know what I mean? Let's see what she's got here. But it is our year to figure it out. I know we have a MTE coming up. And, you know, I know some of you guys are going, some of you guys are not going. Excuse me. I'm definitely not going. For one, just as in the flight there, the risk versus the reward for me isn't there. I want to support the industry, but it's just tough times. And I know there was a post that someone posted about if they were going in the roll call. And a lot of guys were like, some were like yes, some were like no. So all of us still want to support our Dent family. Here's Maria. Let me bring her back on. You're back.
Hey, Ryan, I don't know what happened or at what point.
That's so much better than it was.
Sorry, yeah. Anyway, I don't know how much of that you got.
I was, you weren't always the most positive person until things went wrong.
Right. So then what happened next was, yeah, I had a lot of negative things happen to me over the years, and I would just get bitter and resentful. And that was no help. I learned, you know, that doesn't serve me well. And so when this happened, it was just so consuming. And like, you know, I could end up totally depressed through this. I could not, you know, I couldn't live that way. I couldn't stay in that. It was, you're going to pull yourself up. There's no other option. Right? I could not stay in that. And so it was really just out of necessity. I'm like, I have failed in the past and I know what that's like. And I'm not going to go down that way again. This is my next chance to try to get it right. And I just felt like this is something God is allowing in my life. And I had just journaled like, oh man, a couple of weeks ago, I am ready for the next level. I am ready to grow. I was seeking personal growth and all this. And then this happened. And it's like, this is the answer. This is how I'm going to grow. This is what I'm dealt with. And so, yeah, so I just basically, yeah, I remember the occupational therapist, physical therapist coming in. And, you know, it's like, if I don't do my exercises, I will not be able to move my arms or legs properly. I'm not going to have full range. I'll be stuck.
And there's a lot of people in here. And
yeah.
Maria had a terrible accident. Was it the beginning of last year, right?
It was 2019, September 2019.
And, you know, she was struggling, trying to work her way back. And my buddy Edmund's in here, and he was through a really bad accident also, and was going through the same type of thing, just trying to get himself mentally back on track to physically go through life. You know, you were at that point, it's almost like a restart for you guys to where you have to mentally fix it and then physically fix it.
Right, right. Well, I just kind of saw it, honestly, as soon as they pulled that tube out of my throat and I could talk, I was just like, you know, I've been given a second chance here, because my family, my friends, they just didn't think I was going to pull through. And, you know, I was just talking to my sister-in-law over Christmas, and she's like, I didn't think you were going to make it, you know? And I felt like I've been given a second chance, and I'm going to live this life, and I'm going to live it to the fullest. And I just, you know, I'm going to do everything they're telling me to do. And there's no turning back. I'm just going to go full steam ahead. So I just did it every day. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I listened to podcasts a lot. And one is Excel Still More. And this guy's like, you know, he had one called Change or Accept. And if something has happened and you can't change it, like I can't change that day that I decided to get into the hot tub. I can't change it. I wish I could, but I can't. So I'm going to have to learn how to accept it and learn how to thrive in my life, whatever that means, wherever I am. And so I just started putting in my head things like, affirmations, I do hard things, because every stretch I did, it hurt.
Yeah.
My skin was having to,
Stretch.
and it was painful. But the only way to get better was to endure that pain and push through it. And I began to say, I do hard things.
Now, did you struggle in the beginning?
Yeah. Yeah.
You sat there and struggled.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, it was very isolating. You spend hours doing physical therapy and you're alone. Everybody else is living their life. But, I'm stuck in my room. I got my yoga mat and they give you these little worksheets. Do this exercise 10 times. Try to touch your fingertips. I was having trouble even moving my hands. How to, extend my arms, lift my arms. My skin was preventing me, and yet I was supposed to find a way to stretch that skin, and it creeped me out. It was just mentally exhausting, And so I just was like, I will push through this pain, and I just began to say, I will have full motion. There's no other option here. I will do it. And so every day, I just did it over and over until it got looser and looser. And it was a really, people were amazed, my physical therapist, occupational therapist. But you don't know what's impossible. Nobody knows what's impossible or what's possible. You've just got to get in there and, right now I'm reading a good book. If anybody, this is real positive. This is The Miracle Equation. This is by Hal Elrod. And I listen to this guy's podcast, and he's got so many great ones on goal setting, business, whatnot. But he's got a couple of things I wanted to share with you. He's been through, he was hit by a drunk driver, was, paralyzed, they thought forever. He's had to battle cancer, and he overcame these odds. And he has kind of in this book, the equation, what did he use? What kind of mindset did he have to get through that time? And I'm going to tell you what he has here. He's got something called unwavering faith. And it's basically this affirmation he says, like for me, it was, I will have full range of motion no matter what. There is no other option. And I say that every day. I will have, you set your goal, no matter what, there is no other option. You got to believe that. And pretty soon you do. And then the second part of that equation is you've got to have extraordinary effort. Extraordinary effort. So basically it says, I will put forth extraordinary effort every single day until the last possible moment, regardless of my results along the way. And so you're not thinking about the results because you can get so emotional with what you're seeing. I had so many setbacks, Ryan. I'd show up at physical therapy in tears. It was all I could do to put clothes on because the clothes tore my skin open. Mm-hmm. That's how fragile I was. And
now, was there a breaking point for you to where you were struggling, doubting?
Yeah.
Was there a point to where you woke up and you were like, it is what it is. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah. Here's what happened. My physical therapist said, he taught me about setbacks. And he said, listen, this is a bad day. This is a rough day. But just think of it like that bar graph, right? There's a bar graph and it's tracking your success, okay? And you're going to see over time, it's going up. You're going to get better. You will, just by means of doing what we're telling you to do. You will see it go up. But if you were to zoom in closely, day to day, where you could see each dot for each day, you would see days where it dipped down. It dipped down, but then it raised back up. And it would dip down and raise back up. And I'm like, okay, okay. And that just turned my mind around. And then what happened, Ryan, was I began to see patterns that was true. So I would heal, and then I would, it would come back, and I'd go a little ways, and then something would set me back again. But I remembered that there are setbacks, but the line jumps back up. I just have to put the work in and day out, and pretty soon I'm going to be up here. And I can tell you today, I have full range of motion. But I do yoga and stretching. The Y shut down, and my insurance stopped covering my physical therapy, and I had to do it on my own. And so here I am alone at home. But now I'm like, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get certified to teach yoga. And so I'm going to have to go to these classes and do online classes. And 10 weeks, I'm going to meet with these people in small groups, and I'm going to get my certification. And then I'm going to do stretches for burn survivors, and I'm going to do yoga for trauma. There's a whole industry of yoga for trauma, people that have, PTSD, all kinds of people that have been through traumatic events, even children who have been traumatized by things. There's a whole different fields, and I'd really like to get involved in that trauma yoga.
Well, you also have a good thing on your side is you were a school teacher before, correct?
That's correct. I really feel almost like
it was meant to happen.
Yeah, it was meant to happen. I so many times say, well, when my accident happens, but I've been thinking the last few months, I need a different word, because I do not believe it was an accident. I believe I was born to have this happen for me, because, even that when I showed up for my trauma doctor appointment, like a month after the first appointment, she's like, do you realize that you drove yourself here? You put on your own burn garments. You've got your hair and makeup done. This is unheard of. And she's like, you've got coping skills, right? And so I'm like, if I've got these coping skills, I didn't even realize. They just seemed natural. But really what it is life experiences that have brought me so far, that I can be in a place to help people get through this. Because if I hadn't been a burn survivor, I wouldn't know what it's like to suffer through things.
Yeah. And I think that is a key part in the rehab part of it. You know what I mean? You sit back, because if I went to go help people through rehab with a burn issue, I couldn't relate. Now you can 100% relate.
Yes.
And I think that is a huge part of the growth and the mental help of that. You know what I mean? You're helping them. Granted, you're helping them through the rehab, but you're also helping them mentally, because they're like, okay, look at her.
Absolutely. When I'm stretching, I can be even saying, you're going to feel this, but that's normal. You've got to push through this pain. The victory's on the other side of this. You have to, and really it's almost like when you've done a horrible, awesome workout. It's horrible and awesome. And you're so sore the next day. You can't even walk down the steps. You're so sore, your legs, And yet you go to exercise, or somebody gives you a massage. Let's say somebody gives you a massage and it hurts, but it feels good. And so I kind of try to internalize that. This hurts, but it's going to be good. I'm going to just do it anyway. And pretty soon, I just got used to it. This is part of it. It's part of it.
Yeah.
And again, my other mantra, I do hard things. And so now with business or my kids, I'm like, we do hard things. We do hard things every day.
That's a good slogan.
Yeah, it's my slogan. I'm like, when my kid doesn't want to do something, I'm like, hey, you got to do it anyway. We're a family. We do hard things here. Don't we all, though? Doesn't everybody? We all do hard things. It's part of it.
And when you were saying, perfect example of when you were in rehab and you were up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
That's just like your life experiences.
Right.
And,
right.
I get asked about in my paintless dent repair career, I look at things, man, this was such a terrible time, and then, okay. And then, man, why did this happen? And then you're like, okay, this is the worst thing ever. The world is ending. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
And you're like, okay. And then now I look back and I'm like, I got an edge over the competition because I've been through this. I can explain it to someone, or I can take my experience and I have an edge over the competition because I already know what's coming.
That's right. You will learn. There's no way not to learn through difficult times, and you grow as a person. That's personal growth. And man, I was listening to Hal Elrod's Achieve Your Goals, and I'm like, oh man, this concept, he talked about, how do you define your year? How do you define your day? What, we define, 2019, in fact, my daughter asked me, she said, Mom, what was the best year of your whole life? Because I'm so old. And I said, that's a good question. I said, so 2019, I mean, John and I were married 20 years. I had a great year. I was so fit. I had learned so much. I'd grown spiritually. We went to Italy. That was like my dream. I'm like, John, no matter what, take me to Italy while I'm still pretty and young, right? I don't want to be one of those old people that can't walk and I've got, take me to Italy, please. So he takes me on our dream vacation. It was wonderful. And then a couple of months later, I am, burned alive. I had the worst experience of my life. And, it's like, wow, 2019, was that the best year of my life? And then I was like, no way, man, that was the worst year of my life. And then I'm like, no, because then John and I got real close. And I began to appreciate every single day. And I began to look at things differently. And I grew as a person. And so, that was a really great year for me. And I began to just think about that. How can we have such a horrible year and a great year, in one? And then and he's like, well, the real question is, how did you show up? And I'm like, how did I show up? And I started thinking about that. In the worst moments of my life, when I'm sinking into the water, knowing I'm either going to live or die here. I've got one shot.
Yeah.
How did I show up? I gave it 110, 150%. I'm getting out of here. I am getting out of here today. If I can, I'm going to give everything I've got and I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for everything. And I jumped. That's how I showed up that day. I jumped and I grabbed and I climbed and I clawed myself out of that tub. And it wasn't over. And then, and I went through all the things I had to do to get help. All the things I had to do to get out of that hospital. And then all the things I had to do to get out of that rehab. and so forth. And I'm like, you know what? I showed up. I can be proud of how I showed up. It was a great year. 2020, guess what happened for 2020? So, like, I get a little bit better. I am looking at every single holiday for one whole year, Ryan, from October to October 2020. I lived every day grateful, and I looked at every family member, and I'm like, here I am. It's Easter. We're all here. My mom, my dad, my husband's mom, and we're all here. And I just sit at the table and marvel that we're all here. I appreciated every single thing. And then 1 year later, my dad's taken from me. And you know what? The last year he was alive, I enjoyed every single minute with him. And I may not have done that had
Yeah.
I not had my life almost gone.
Yeah.
I lived my life to the fullest in 2020, despite COVID,
Yeah.
because I was grateful to be just with my family.
And
So,
I said the same thing to my buddy Edmund. Obviously, it wasn't as crazy, but like I said in the beginning, I was a go, 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 go.
mhm,
We shut down for 7.5 weeks. I laid in bed and cried like a baby to my wife and said, "This is my dream. Like, this is
right,
everything I work for."
right.
But I remember every day riding my bike with my kid for 7.5 weeks. You can't, it wouldn't have happened.
No, it would not have
It would
happened.
have not have happened. And you know what? I sit back now and we're pretty much working right now a 4-day work week. And you know why? Because Fridays I hang with my kid. And you know what? I don't care.
I love it.
And it would have never happened. My wife said it the other day. She's like, terrible year, a lot of bad stuff going on, but you needed this.
Yes. Amen.
It's not about money. It's not about losing accounts. It's not about angry customers. At the end of the day, what really matters?
Yeah.
What
So
matters? Just like you were saying, you brightened your eyes
mhm,
to appreciate the time that you had with your dad before he passed a
yeah,
little more than you would have.
exactly. Absolutely. And you know what? Your girl is gonna have a childhood that so many kids I never had a Friday where my dad spent the day with me, ever,
No,
ever.
no.
No. She is getting something so valuable through this. Um,
Even the 7.5 weeks. I
yeah,
mean, I can tell you tenfold our relationship is totally different than it was.
I love
And, my dad passed away when I was 5.
Oh, wow.
And I look back now, she's 6. I get 7.5 weeks. And that's the 7.5 weeks when she's in this age that she's going to remember. She's going to remember that, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
So at the end of the day, we're all out here trying to grow our businesses and do the right thing. But at the end of the day, what really matters?
Yeah, right, exactly. You've gotta be, really and truly it's the best thing for you to just be in a state of gratitude every day. Um, you've got to appreciate all the little things. There's so much that we miss. We miss it all the time. If you I started on this whole gratitude challenge, and it's become this thing where now I see something to be grateful for everywhere. It's like, when you're buying a car and you've kind of figured out what kind of car you want, and pretty soon you see it everywhere on the road.
You're
Just,
right.
you know,
You're right.
your mind is tuned in to what it is you're looking for. Well, that's the same way with this gratitude challenge I've taken. It's like, man, I can see it everywhere. You know, so many all day long. I have an alarm that goes off and it says, what are you grateful for? That's what I named it. What are you grateful for? It goes off, and whatever I'm doing, I stop and I think, what am I grateful for today? what's happened so far. Sometimes it's in the moment. I was having coffee with my friends. I started trying to do coffee once a week because my dad always went for coffee. Like, what's the big deal about this buddy's going for coffee? Well, now I know it's because you sit around in a table, you got your your coffee, your tea, whatever, and you just talk about whatever. And it's so rewarding. And my alarm went off one time and it's like, I went around the table like, what are you grateful for? And each person, shared something and it's a deeper connection because we all start sharing things that are deep within us. And, you know, I stop what I'm doing and I do that. In fact, Ryan, in fact, you may think this is weird. It probably is, but the day my dad died, he died at 1:24 p.m. And, called the hospice person who's supposed to come in and pronounce him dead. And they show up, social worker shows up, funeral home shows up. I'm there alone. My mom and girl, I sent everybody away, just me and my dad. And I'm sitting there, they just wheeled my dad out. Just saw him for the last, wheeled him out. I'm sitting there with the woman who pronounced him dead and the social worker who's supposed to now check on me for 15 months. And my alarm goes off. What are you grateful for? And I'm like,
jeez.
So I say to the woman who pronounced him dead, I said, I have this alarm that goes off. And, I told her about it. I said, what are you grateful for? And she's like, on the spot. And she's like, well, I'm grateful for my family. And she kind of said a few things about her family. And I say to the social worker, I'm like, what are you grateful for? And she said, well, I'm thankful for my job that I can help people. And, she shared some things. And then I was like, you know what? I'm grateful for all of you, all of the hospice, this whole thing, because you've helped me through a tremendously difficult time. And you did it so well. And I'm grateful for your help and your assistance and what you're trying to do for my family, even this very day. Thank you. And it was such a meaningful, connecting experience.
You were in the moment.
Yeah. All for the sake of gratitude. And so, yeah, I see it everywhere now. Everywhere I look, I see gratitude, reasons to be grateful.
And I don't think you haven't still been doing it every day, posting. Have you been?
I'm not posting. I did that the whole month of November.
You need to do it again.
Should I do it again?
Because, I remembered it. Manny remembered it. So you were impacting more people's lives than you realized.
Wow.
Just little things, you know what I mean? And it's hard. I know it's hard to do something every day because you're doing your thing and the alarm is a great idea.
Yeah, I encourage everybody to try that. Just try it. Try it for a week and just pick a time, I picked a random time and it'll go off. It'll go off when you're with people. It'll surprise you, but just take that moment,
See, look, Matt Boyette, he says, I remember it. Do you know what I mean? I enjoyed it because I knew you were going through a tough time.
Yeah.
It was like one hit after the next,
Mm-hmm.
But I think little things like that in even just our small industry helps. And you don't even realize you're helping people. Wow.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that because it is hard to do something every single day. Another podcast I listened to, it was called The Ripple Effect, and how, one small action, it's like when the rock hits the water. And, if you've ever been in front of a pond, and I've actually, after the podcast, I'm like, I'm doing it. I did. I went to our pond down back and I get a rock. And I thought about, my family my life, how I'm affecting my girls, you know. And I threw the rock out into the middle as best I could. And when the rock hit the water, it just made this big ring. And then it just grew and grew, and it was mesmerizing. It went all the way till it was bank to bank. And I was just like, this is amazing. This is so compelling. Everything we do, there's a reaction to it. You are affecting people, whether you're in a crowd, one-on-one, or what you're doing alone. Like me, listening to a podcast alone changes my thinking. There's a shift, and I can affect so many people. Like what you're saying, there's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
So, I got my girls one day. They didn't have school. Hey, no, it's COVID. School's shut down. It's Wednesday. There's home. We go for a walk. We bring our backpacks. That was the day I'm talking about, the hay bale, me crashing, and I take them to the pond and I tell them, and I'm like, let's throw, I had them pick a rock out, put it in their backpack. So we get there at the pond. I'm like, so did you feel your rock with you? And they're like, no, I kind of forgot I had it with me. Because at first, it seemed kind of big, but then they're like, no, I kind of forgot I had it. I'm like, yeah, that's your influence. That rock is your influence. You forget you have it, and yet you have it. And I told them to throw that rock out there one by one, and they were just like, man, it's a very moving experience. Yeah, but hey.
Now, if you have someone that is struggling, now I really think, and I'm gonna save what I'm gonna say till the end, but
Okay.
if you have someone that's struggling with positivity,
Yeah.
even through these crazy times that we're in right now, how can they dig themselves out of that? Even if it's not an accident or things aren't going planned, or how can they mentally try to start digging themselves out of that and trying to be more positive? And like I said before, I'm not the most positive person out there. I'll be honest with you. But, I learn little things from people like you, even Danny D. He's a super positive dent guy and does a lot of stuff in there. My buddy Edmund, there's a lot of really positive people. But what can you do to get yourself out of that predicament? How can you mentally start trying to dig yourself out of that hole? Because I'm sure there's guys that either are going through it or are struggling, and it may give them an idea to try to help themselves.
Well, Ryan, since you asked me, I'm going to tell you, I have to be true to myself. I have to be true to everybody, to others. And I would say, in order to dig yourself out, you're going to have to ask, seek, knock. You're going to have to turn to something, a power higher than yourself, and that is God. There is one God, and He knows you. He's who's allowed you. People say, why did God, do this? How could such a loving God, but we forget there's the powers of darkness out there. There's Satan. He's the one that causes the bad things. God is who can get you out. So I would say you would start praying. Ask God to help you. Start seeking. How can I get, you've got to do, you can't, if you jump into a pool and you don't know how to swim and there's no one there, you're going to go down unless you start doing something. You got it.
Yeah.
You cannot sit. I tell John, I just told him just tonight, you can be sad for a while, but you can't camp out there. All right. You're going to be eaten by the wolves.
Yeah.
You cannot stay right there. Ask, seek, knock. Just, And everything that I'm learning, I've got all these books. I've got Suffer Strong. This woman's in a wheelchair. I got How the Miracle of Loving What Is. I read books. I listen to podcasts. I read my Bible. I go to Bible classes. I get up. I get, get around a kid. When you're around a kid, it's no longer you. It's about, your focus. You got it. You got to ask, seek, knock. You got to pull yourself out. It's got to be you. It's got to be you. And I'm telling you, I always prayed. I grew up praying to God, but I did not really experience the power of prayer until my accident, because I was alone waiting for help, and my body, my skin is literally melting off of me. And I was traumatized, and I just started praying. And how can I get a peace through that? It makes no sense. It's got to be the power of prayer. And I had peace. I was able to just, tune out. And I got the 911 call audio, and I listened to it. I wanted to just, I think I'm going to write a book. And I wanted to know what really happened. I know what I remember, but what really happened? And I could hear myself. I could hear what was going on. I could hear what I told the operator. I could hear myself reciting scripture and praying to God. And just, there's only, it's real. It's real. And so turn to God is what I would say. That's how I got through. And I had people, I feel, when I got out of the hospital and everything, and I would go somewhere in my community, because I had so many people praying for me. I'm sure they were really just worried about John. Poor John. He's got 3 kids. 3
Yeah.
girls. What's he going to do if something happens to Maria? But I would walk in my community and people would just tear up. I prayed for you. I prayed for you. They were so moved just to see me walking around alive, because it was so bad. It just did not look good. I mean, people that are burned over 80% of their body, they don't make it.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say is I would start by ask, seek, knock. And then I would say, start learning. Get some books, listen to some podcasts, but you have to surround yourself with positivity. I don't watch the news, Ryan.
Yeah.
Mom told me what happened yesterday. What happened yesterday. I didn't see it on the news. So when my mom tells me, I Google it and I read a report, and
holy cow.
I cried.
Yeah.
But then you know what? I didn't get where I'm going all over Facebook, watching the news, crying more. I didn't get all sucked into the crazy. You know what? I asked my daughter that was there with me, I'm like, what do you think our country needs? What do you think? I talked to each one of my kids. What do you think about this? What happened at school today with this? And you've got to just not get sucked into the crazy. You've got to just, this is bad times, this is hard times, but what can we learn from it? What can we learn from it?
And that's a true saying. I sat back. I was talking to my wife yesterday and had a lot of friends calling because we're, kind of close to DC and just checking in. And
yeah.
And I was like, I was at that point of sitting back saying, I'm almost at the point of losing hope for humanity. with everything going on, not even just what happened yesterday, with everything this year.
Yeah.
But on the other end, you look at like my sister-in-law works at a hospital, deals with COVID patients. A bunch of my friends are medical people that are in COVID wards every day. They get up and do that every day. You know what I mean? So I sit here on one hand and I'm like, I'm losing hope for humanity. But on the other hand, I'm like, they don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They're seeing crap every day in the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And I sit back and I'm like, let's be realistic here. Do you know what I mean? It is
Right.
I
Yeah.
think
They're
I think
living.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think for me personally, I look at that situation we had yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
but then I sat back and I was like, okay, look at the good people here. Look at the people that are trying to do things.
Right.
At that point in your life, I feel like you have to shift your mindset a little bit. Because if you don't, you're falling in that rabbit hole and you are just down
Yeah.
on it. You know what I mean? You're just,
What's going to serve you?
yeah,
Anxiety or gratitude? That's another thing. Which one serves you better? You
yeah,
can go down the rabbit hole and just get sucked in, stand there in front of your TV watching all the over and over
yeah,
and over again, or you can go talk to your family. See what, we have got to, you know, we've got to just, you know, pull ourselves out. Because there are so many people out there doing good things
mhm,
every day, and they don't have to, and they put themselves in that place every day you know what, some people, they're doing these things not even for themselves. I mean, they're doing it for the greater good of
yeah.
everybody else. There's a lot of selfless people out there, and they're in the world too. We just don't hear about them as much.
And Mr. John Vidine, I'm going to bring this up. And if you guys haven't checked it out, his new podcast is called Dents and Dreams.
Yes.
And what I really like about it is it's very raw. It's very John. And he
Yeah.
donated $20. And what I'm going to do with that $20 is I'm going to donate that to buy lunch at the hospital next week. So, we'll just keep paying it forward. Um, I think in this time in the US, you almost have to do things that you're not used to doing.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I really think you should think about being a positivity coach because you're really good. When we talked on the phone, this is something funny, and I'm going to bring this up. We talked on the phone, and you're like, I don't know. We were talking about this episode, and I don't know. And I was like, Maria, oh my, you do this every day. Like this is not anything special. Like you do this every day. You're extremely good at it. I appreciate you coming on, even through A1. Your stuff you've been doing with A1 in the last year and a half is awesome.
Well,
You
thank you.
know, the pace that you keep doing it is really good too. You know what I mean? You're just on it. You're on it. You're on it. You're on it. You're on it. And
Right.
I can see a change in you in the last year and a half. Just in you're more comfortable with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I remember right after your accident, the first NT back, you were kind of not sure, not 100%. Now you're like, let's go at it and do it. And it's
Yeah.
nice to see you grow. I've only known you for a little while, and
Yeah.
it's nice to see you grow just in yourself. And I'm an outsider, and I'm not in your family. We don't
Yeah.
talk every day, but it's nice to see you grow in yourself.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Yeah. I really think that personal growth comes from negative experiences. It's going to push you. You're going to feel, you're going to feel adversity is inevitable, right? We're
Yeah.
we're not when I was younger, I thought, yeah, I'm going to get married, have kids, and live happily ever after. But it's just not the way it is. It's
Yeah.
not reality. So you've got to just take what you're given. Man, it's like, and there's a quote, the redefining of me has become the redefined me. It's like I've been refined, it's like I've been, all the, I had to really be stripped down, just emotionally. And then you just kind of get built back up, how can I get back? That was my thing. I kind of had some negative thoughts like, I'm going to get my life back. I was so angry. I'm going to get my life back. But maybe that's part of the process. Maybe sometimes you've got to get angry. I just finished a book about grief. I go to counseling too. That's another thing. Hey, if you need to go to counseling, go to counseling.
Yeah.
And he assigned me a couple of books to read, and I bought one, and I didn't read it. I was like, I'm not in the mood to read about grief. I don't want to read it. But then I had my appointment coming up. I'm like, I got to read this book, So I read the book, and I was glad I did because it talks about these different stages. And Ryan, I'm not kidding you. Just a few weeks ago, like I woke up in the morning with chest pains. I mean, all across here, and my back, and my jaw was tight, and I couldn't breathe. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm having a heart attack, and I'm Googling it, I'm like, I'm having a heart attack. Oh my goodness. And finally it went away. It happened again a different day, and my hips started hurting and all this stuff. And then you read, your body, that's how it handles stress.
Mm-hmm.
I spent my whole holidays trying to make it perfect for my family.
Yes.
And just get through. And I'm like, all I did was just snap at everybody. And,
Yeah.
I was
You didn't enjoy it. You didn't enjoy it one bit.
I did not really enjoy the holidays. No, I really
and I say this.
my dad's supposed to be here. He's supposed to sit there and eat the meal and fold his napkin until it's a tiny square. That you can't, I'm making Thanksgiving meal and all the stuff he'd like, and he's not going to eat it. I mean, I was mad and I was angry. But the books and the stuff like that, the counseling, that's going to help you. You're going to understand that's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is part of it. I'm not
It's
going
like now. I said this, it was a friend of mine and I haven't seen him in a while. And he was like, how was your holiday? And I said, I'll be honest with you. It was different.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, the stress level was so nice. It was so nice. I sat back and it was weird. My family, a big family, big Irish family. And
Oh, yeah.
we did a big Zoom call and, we're from all over the place. And some of them I haven't seen in 15 years. Do you know what I mean? So it was kind of cool to sit there and, where are you living? How's your job? Or what are you doing? And
Yeah.
it was super cool to just not be rushed, not run around. We've got to be here. We got to go do this. My mom's like, what time are you coming? You don't enjoy any of it.
Right. That's so true.
So,
yeah.
Like I said, my mom was bummed. My mom sat back. She's so upset. She's like, what are we going to do for Christmas? And I just don't know. And I'm like, my sister, and I feel bad for my mom. She's recovering from cancer. She had breast cancer.
Oh.
And then my sister got COVID during Thanksgiving. So my mom's kind of there by herself. And I'm like, let's Zoom call it. You know what I mean? She came to my shop, dropped off the presents and for my daughter, and let's a Zoom call. And she's like, okay. It's different. But at the same time, she was laid back with her little sweatshirt on, just kind of relaxing. You know what I mean? So at the same way, everybody was a little more relaxed, but
Yes.
I feel like, and I've only realized this probably in the last 2 to 3 years. And I hear it all the time in business, and I hear guys saying, surround yourself with successful people. Surround yourself with successful people. I always think you need to surround yourself with more positive people.
Mm-hmm.
And not all positive people are good. Sometimes positive people want something from you.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? They're supporting you. They're being positive, but there's a other motive to that positivity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I really think if you surround yourself with the right people, and even me this year, you know, there's people that I've kind of slowly walked away from
Yes.
because they didn't fit my needs.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And even through COVID, you know, I'm sitting back, and for me personally, it's been hard because I have friends that, you know, my wife's in the infectious disease business. She knows what's going on.
Yes.
And I'm taking all the precautions. You know, we're wearing masks, we're socially distancing, we're doing all these things, and my friends aren't. So it's very difficult for me to kind of step away from my friendships for a little while
Yeah.
because I need to do what's right for me and my family.
That's
And on the
right. You've got
positive
to.
end, I'm like, if they make it through this, they're a real friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know,
That's
it's,
a great way to look at it, Ryan. It is.
you
You
know,
know,
it's,
the thing is, we as adults, we get to choose who we allow to speak into our life and be a part of
mhm.
our life. And yeah, sometimes we've got to just, as you said, I like how you put that, slowly walk away because, you don't wish them any harm. You care about them, but it's not what's going to help you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to do what's best for you and your family. And yeah, yeah, keep the connections that are important to you close. So yeah, I think that's just you know, being healthy, just helping you keep mentally healthy, really.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to go too long. We've already been going for an hour. I told her, I was like, we're not going to go long. I promise.
Well, the time has flown by for me, so
It always does. Every time I'm on here, they're like, how do you do? I mean, the 3 or 4 hour shows are a bit tough for me, but you know, the hour flies by, and
yeah.
you know, I'd like to do this again. I think a lot of the guys in the industry, you know, I mean, we had quite a few guys in here. I think you still have more to put out there. And I think the guys really enjoy it, you know, at least from the comments and as many people that are in here.
Good, good. Oh, Vicente, yes, positive vibes do enrich your mind and soul. They do. But yeah, I can't really. I'm where I can't see everything on Facebook. But yeah, I hope it encourages just at least one person. If it gives someone something to think about or helps them make a shift, that will help them get in the right direction. Then it's successful. So yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. You know, I know she was like, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, you're coming on. You were good. You
Well,
know,
I hope. I hope
you,
so.
you've been through it. And like I said, I would appreciate if you started doing it daily again.
Okay.
I
I
think it
will.
was, and there were other people in here that enjoyed it. So I think it would be worth. I know it's a lot of work, but
It is, but it was good for me. Sometimes I think doing things like that holds you accountable to keeping it up, right?
yeah,
And so, yeah, yeah. Well, I encourage others to set that gratitude alarm or set a goal of posting something or a picture of something you're grateful for, you
yeah,
know? Yeah, try it out. It's good. And you know what? people do reach out to you. I had people in my community and other things, you know, that just, yeah. So, yeah, maybe I'll do that again. I think I will.
Say one last positive thing to the guys, and we're going to get out of here, guys. Putting you on I'm totally putting you on the ball. She knows nothing that I was going to talk about today.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna share something that has helped me recently, and I posted it on my story. But try to come up with a morning ritual. Right? I always get up and it's always crazy. So come up with a morning ritual, because it puts the best you at the start of the day. It puts the best you. Think about what you want to happen in the morning before you go to work, before you leave. Think about what you want in your life, how to enrich it, and, you know, write the steps out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's what I want to do in the morning, because it puts the best you at the start of each day. And I've done it this week, and I'm like, I've gotten a ton accomplished. And yeah, and just remember, how did you show up today? You know, don't look at it as a good day or bad day, bad year, good year, this happened, that happened. How did you show up today? What did you do? How'd you show up? Did you bring integrity? Did you bring perseverance? Did you bring honor to your family? How did you show up today? That's what I got.
That was really good.
Thanks.
That was good. It was funny because my wife just put a thing. I think it was Monday or Tuesday. And I'm like, what is this? She goes, I bought it for you. I'm like, what is it? And it's this little calendar that she put in our bathroom. She goes, in the morning, you can read it. And it says, you're a badass. And it was like all these, like a really nice saying for like your day. And you flip it over and there's other like key events that happen in the world. And I was like, that's such a great idea.
Yeah.
So
positivity. Yeah. And affirmations. Hey, affirmations, you know, I will do this no matter what. There is no other option. If you just keep saying that, you will do it, and you will accomplish what you set to accomplish. You got to believe in it. You got to do it. You got to live it every day.
That's a good one. Man, this was a good show. I hate to get off. We could keep going for a couple more hours. I'm sure the guys would enjoy it, but Maria may get a little tired.
Yeah. Don't you be calling me old, Ryan.
I know. Hey, I called you old the first show I had you on, so we got that already over.
Oh my goodness.
We got it off right off the bat, so we're good now.
We're good now. Okay.
Well, guys, I appreciate you watching. It was a great show. Like I said, I wanted to do something a little different today, and we're going to do this again, bring it back again, and go back through some more ideas and different ways to be positive and keep going. So you guys have a great evening. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.